Bye! My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home.
Welcome back to another episode of Duck Dogs, everybody. I am your host, Josh Miller. And let's be sure to thank our fantastic partners. Thank you to Eukanuba. Eukanuba is the presenting partner of this show. Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 is the blend of food that I feed my personal dogs and the dogs here at the kennel. It is a fantastic food. It keeps them where they need to be, both physically, mentally, energy level. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Fantastic food. Cannot say enough good things about it. Go check them out. www.eukanuba.com. Also, thank you to Sitka Gear. Sitka Gear is your premium option for your outdoor wear, specifically during season like I'm currently in. I am literally dressed in it pretty much head to toe all day long. It keeps me in the field longer, and it keeps me more comfortable while I'm in the field. So go check them out, www.sitkagear.com. Also, thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is your one-stop shop for all of your four-legged partner needs, both hunting and training-wise. Make sure you go check them out. Do you need a vest? Do you need a blind? Do you need a collar? Do you need a lead? Whatever you need, go check out www.gundogsupply.com. Also, thank you to Kent Cartridge. Kent Cartridge is the shotgun shell that we use. We use them actually all year round. We use not only the shells, the shotgun shells, as we are hunting now, but we also use the poppers here during training season. They're a fantastic company with great people. So go check out Kent Cartridge. Highly suggest that. Also, thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck is your 5-star crash test rated kennel, both in the intermediate and in the large size. So no matter how big or small your dog is, you can be sure that they are riding and traveling the absolute safest way that they possibly can. www.luckyduck.com. And last but not least, thank you to Retriever Roadmap. Retriever Roadmap is your premium option for online training guides with a video-based library to walk you through step-by-step training your dog at home. It makes it fun and successful. And I would highly suggest go checking it out because you may find a familiar voice on that program as well. www.retrieverroadmap.com. All right, everybody. So we are back at home right now, spending some time at home with the family. You know, Christmas and New Year's, got to get that family time in with all this travel. You may believe this, you may not believe this, but I think traveling is harder on me than it is even my family. It's just, especially with the kiddos now, it's just harder being away. And so this time at home is not only much needed for them, but really much needed for me, just mentally. It also gives the dogs kind of a nice breather as they get some relaxed time back, you know, in their home rather than, you know, being on the road. And of course, there's a pretty high level of demand physically, that goes on while we're on the road, and so they get some chill and recovery time too. So across the board, it's great to be home and just kind of reflecting on some things of the season. You know, we had a really fun hunt, as you guys heard about, you know, with Eric as we brought him down. He won the hunt with us for the Retriever Roadmap members, so that was really fun. Not only fun to get to spend that one-on-one time and get to know him, or know him more, I should say. We feel like we know each other, even though we've only met a couple times. We met at Game Fair. I think we went over this a little bit, but it was just great. You just, when you can dig deeper and get to know good people, and kind of bring them into your inner circle. It's just a great feeling. So loved that. Also loved seeing kind of through some fresh eyes some new situations that popped up in the field, so there were moments that Eric would kind of shout down to me and be like, hey, what would you do here? Just kind of fun, just kind of that new, just kind of a new life, to the blind. So I really, really enjoyed that time, really enjoying the new properties and the things we have going on there. So all around, so far so good. For the season, we have about a month left, so we'll be heading back south soon and finishing strong. But here's what I wanted to go over here today. I don't know how long or short this one's going to be, but I wanted to hop on here and kind of go over something that I think will help all of us as we kind of head into this new year. But with so much going on, of course, social media, see it on TV. Everybody's talking New Year's and New Year's resolutions really more than anything. And what I really wanted to dig into on this is, as you guys know, I'm a very goal-oriented person. So I love putting my goals down on paper. I love striving for those goals. I do this with all of my employees, all of my team members, and we work towards these goals together. And I truly believe it has made everyone more successful, happier. I think everyone has grown as people, as human beings, through this. And it's something that I'm very, very proud of. And when I watch all this New Year's resolution stuff, I just kind of roll my eyes because I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I think it's just complete garbage. I've never been a New Year's resolution person. I've never made a New Year's resolution that I know of. I think the whole thing is just trash. I think it's kind of a cute idea. I think it's a cute thought of, hey, new year, new me, and I'm going to be this, this different person. But it doesn't work. And you may be sitting there going like, well, I did one, and that's great if you did, but like I'm talking broad stroke here. Broad stroke, big spectrum here. It doesn't work. And so I actually got to the point that I was irritated enough by hearing about all this stuff that I dug into the psychology behind New Year's resolutions, and I want to share with you guys some things that I found. Okay, so the first one, I've actually talked about the first one on this show before. I can't tell you which episode it was. They'll run together after a while, but the first one was what writing down goals does for you. So writing down goals, it makes you forward. So this is a actual study that was done by Dr. Gail Matthews. I can't remember. I think she was a psychology professor at, I don't think it was University of California, somewhere in California. And she did this research on writing goals down. What she found was that people are 42% more likely to achieve their goals simply by writing them down. By writing them down, you make it real. You make it tangible. You can feel it. You can touch it. And you can go back and remind yourself of it. If you just say something, it's gone with the wind. And so it's incredible the power of writing something down. But let me go back to the New Year's resolution. So here's some points that I found that I thought was interesting to share with you guys. So, did you know that over 25% of people, now I can't tell you exactly what study this all comes from, so you can fact check me and correct me if I'm wrong, but over 25% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions after just 1 week. Well, yeah. Actually, I was surprised it wasn't higher than that. But over 25%. So that's, a quarter of people that make them are already done with them and over them by the first week. Okay. Over 60% of people abandon them within 6 months. Okay. To be honest with you, I'm surprised that people hold on that long. I feel like that's a long 6 months is a pretty decent time. Um, and then one of them that I thought was really interesting was there's so much that I found around weight loss, right? So tends to be a big one. New year, new you. I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. I'm going to go be a new person. But one that I really found that was interesting was that of the people that were successful with the resolution they made, so a weight loss resolution, of the people in this study that actually followed through and made it and achieved what they set out to achieve, 95% of those people gained the weight back. 95%. And that's after you achieve the goal. I mean, so you can kind of see here where I'm going with this, like this whole New Year's resolution thing. It doesn't work. And I think there's a lot of reasons to this. I want to dig into this because this is the stuff that I geek out about, right? Like I love self-growth. I love personal development. I think, if you're sitting there going, I thought this was a dog podcast, I think all of this like directly correlates to you as a trainer, as a handler, as a leader, with your dog work. But goals are a big part of that too. If you don't write down your goals, you're just going to kind of go through the motions and, progress when it's convenient to progress, and you're going to relapse when it's not. You're not going to continue to strive, and you're going to find yourself in season, 10, 11, months from now, frustrated and upset because you're in the same spot that you were last year. Write your goals down. So here's some things I want to dig into with the goal. And these now I'm going away from the study topics that I found, and I'm going more into, this is my personal observations and takeaways over years of doing this, and years of doing this with many people. Again, I've done this with my employees, and there's a lot of different personalities that I've worked with through this, and I've seen what has helped people be successful, and I have seen what has not. And so the one that I think has to start, it has to start right off the bat, is your mind needs to be right before you go into any goal whatsoever. Your mind needs to be right, and you truly have to believe it. You have to be all in on it. You can't just write something down and say, hey, because I wrote it down, like, I guess now it's going to happen, or now it's more, there's more of a chance of it going to happen. Like, you need to be right going into it. And this is where, like, I look at that stat that says 95% of people put the weight back on. Like, I've talked in the past about the internal thermostat, right? And if you guys missed that one, I'll kind of go over here. Like, all of us have an internal thermostat that we are inside what we believe we are. So if we believe we're a 70-degree person, then our internal thermostat keeps us at 70 degrees. Okay, so what I mean by that is that if positive things go on around us and we're lifted up and we start going, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel 90 degrees, that we will tone it down and bring ourselves back down to that 70 degrees. That's what that is. That is, I just lost this weight, but I don't truly believe that I'm worth that. I don't truly believe that that's me. And so you always fall back into what's comfortable, what's easy. And that's why you put the weight back on. That's what that is, right? You have to believe, hey, you know what? No, I am a 90-degree person. I deserve that. That's the new me, right? That's what I always should have been. Push forward and make that happen, right? Change your internal thermostat. We can all do that. But you need to buy in. Like, you need to be all in upstairs, up in between the ears. Buy into it, and you're doing it. That's the first thing. And I know right off the bat, when I sit down with one of my team members and we start talking about this, I know right off the bat whether you're all in on this or not. And if you're not, like, what are we doing? So the first thing is believing it. Then from there, when you put these goals down, you need to make the goals measurable. So you need to make the goals measurable. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I mean, you have to make it to where you know, are you being successful with your goals or not? Okay, so I had an employee many years ago that when we would sit down, one, he never liked doing the goal stuff anyway. I truly believe it's one of the reasons he hasn't been more successful in his life, because he's got the charisma, he's got the personality, he's got the talent, he's got everything. It's just his mind continues to hold him back. It's a hard thing to see. But when we would sit down and do these goals, he had the same exact goal every year, and we had to sit and filter through this, and I had to try to push him to making a more realistic goal, or a more measurable goal rather, which he never would buy into, which means he was never successful in achieving it. But he would say the same thing. I want to be rich. And I'm like, well, that's not a goal. Okay, so let's get, and he would fight with me and say, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it's not a goal. Okay, now, if you tell me I want to have $1,000 in the bank account, or $100,000 in the bank account, or $1 million in the bank account, that's measurable. You know if you failed, or you know if you achieved it, and you can actually strive for it. You can say, I need to make these changes in my life in order to reach that. I need to make this much more money. I need to cut out these expenses. You can't, just being rich doesn't do it. Okay, I want to start running. Okay, is that like to the mailbox? Is that like, what does that mean? Right? Put something quantifiable behind it. Let's say I'm going to run a half marathon this year. Well, you can measure that, right? Like, if you did it. If you got there, put your number on, ran the race, went across the finish line, if you did it or not. Make it measurable. If you can't measure it, you cannot tell me, were you successful or were you not? And you also can't measure what you need to do to get there. Because one of the things that we always do with our goals is we have the goal, and then we make steps in what we have to do to get there. So let's use the example of the bank account. I want to have $1,000 in the bank account. Okay, well, in order to do that, I need to stop living paycheck to paycheck, and I need to make sure I have X amount cut out, right? So maybe I don't need Netflix and Hulu and ESPN Plus and Paramount Plus, and like maybe I don't need all that, right? So if I do that, what does that get me? Like, you can actually sit down and break this thing down and measure it out, right? I'm going to run a half marathon. Okay, well, in order to do that, how about I'm going to start by running for 5 minutes, right? Or maybe it's something like I need to get the right shoes. That's the first step. Then I need to run for 5 minutes, okay? Running for 5 minutes, so the next, 2 days, now I'm going to run for 7 minutes. Now I'm going to run for 8 minutes. Now I'm going to work up to this. Measure it. Make it measurable. Another thing that has really, really helped is find yourself an accountability partner. Now, these come in a lot of different shapes and forms. So again, for me, when I do this with my employees and my team, I am their accountability partner. And I leave it very open. You can make this very personal. You can make this strictly professional, and anything in between. But just know, whatever you share with me and whatever you ask me to hold you accountable for, like, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to have quarterly check-ins. We're going to see and measure, how are we trending? Are we going to hit this goal or are we not? And guess what? Hey, if we hit one, and we're only 3 months into the year, that's awesome. Let's check it off. Let's make another one. Or maybe let's grow this one. Hey, you know what? Maybe I'm going to run a full marathon. Never thought that was even possible, but I already checked off the half marathon. Now let's go run a full marathon. These things can grow, right? So having an accountability partner, we as human beings, the majority of us, we don't like letting people down. We don't like failing. And having an accountability partner to bounce things off of, especially if the other person is also striving for goals and you are their accountability partner, well, now it's going to make you each push, because you don't want to be the one that's failing all your goals while the other one is succeeding. Right? It's going to make you want to push. We do something, a couple of us do we call it our workout group. And so we had a goal for this last 2022 that we're going to work out 5 days a week, every week of the year. And we have a Snapchat group, and all we have to do is we just have to send a snap, say day 1, day 2, whatever day it is, and just what you're doing today. Okay. Now, Whitney my wife was the only one that made it all 52 weeks. She says I should put an asterisk next to mine because it was my Lyme's, when I had my Lyme's issue earlier this year. If you knew about this, you know what rough shape I was in there for a couple weeks. And if you don't, I got Lyme's this year, and it was not fun. And so she's like, you should put an asterisk next to yours because that's why you didn't get it. Well, I didn't get it. Right? Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, it sucks. Nothing I could have done about it, but didn't achieve it. So I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to use that as fuel for this year. Right? But what I found was that in a group like that, it's really easy to just snap a picture, maybe go through the motion, maybe not. And like, you just know, like, when somebody sends something, a certain, photo or snap, and that you're like, yeah, you're not doing it. But in that case, they're only lying to them, right? If you use the accountability group in the way that it's meant to, you watching someone like Whitney, who's very determined, she's very focused in her workout programs, she's a very driven person, that should push you and say, I want to do that. I want to elevate. That motivates me. Right? I didn't want to do that today. I find myself, I'm literally sitting on the couch eating chips right now, and a Snapchat comes through, and it's Whitney that's out there, getting a burner workout in. Should motivate you. Get up off the couch and do it. Right? So there's a lot of different ways you could do the accountability stuff. But that's one that I have found is kind of it's fun. It kind of makes it more fun too. You can kind of see what everyone's doing, and you don't have to be right next to each other. I mean, we have people in, I think, 2 or 3 different states in that group, and it's just a fun one, to kind of see, and keep up with everyone. But it should be motivation. I find that sitting down and looking someone in the eye, that's the true accountability, because you can see it. We all know that. You can hide behind a computer screen. You can hide behind your phone. You can hide there's no hide when you're sitting down looking at a piece of paper, and I'm looking at you going, so where are we at with this one? And you haven't done anything towards it, and you have to look me in the eye and tell me that, and I have to say, okay, so how are we going to change that? What are we going to do? You also have to put your ego aside on some of this. A lot of times when we have to have those discussions, if you have the wrong person, they're going to get defensive. Like, you don't get it. I have this and this going on. Okay, that's fine. We all have stuff going on. But this is a goal that you had. Okay, so how are we still going to make this happen? It's so easy to make excuses. It's so easy to take the easy route. I'm going to tell you about mine. I just put this on my Instagram story if you follow me. But so yesterday, I went into Barnes & Noble, And I had a goal last year of reading 12 books. And I finished 16. I was really proud of that. And, like I had always used a ton of excuses in the past. So one, which a number of people sent me messages saying, oh, I wish I liked to read, or I wish I could sit down and just focus and read. I can't do it. That's crap. And the reason I say that is because I said the exact same things. I used to say the same things. I don't have time to sit down. Who has time to sit down and read? Right? I don't like reading. Right? They were all just excuses so that I could make myself feel better about not reading. The reality is I wish I had the actual statistic. And I shouldn't say it without it, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that there's a drastic commonality between successful people and reading. Self-growth and self-development, it does not happen by accident. It is intentional. You need to go and sit down and say, I'm going to be better and I'm going to make myself better. No one else is going to do that for you. And so this would have been probably a little more than a year ago. I said this same thing to someone that I think it was I don't have time to read. It was some excuse about reading. And I literally, I don't know what it was, but I literally felt and heard the words come out of my mouth and immediately, internally, called myself out on it. And I was like, you are just making excuses, man. And that's all I needed. That flipped me. So I read 12 books, this year. I'd always read a little bit. Like the Extreme Ownership has always been a very, very close book to me. January 1, I start off every single year reading that book because I feel like it's so impactful, to me and who I am. But I just hadn't really branched out outside of that. So reading that much last year was a big deal to me. So guess what? I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to double down, and I'm going to get better. I'm going to evolve at this, right? And it was a big deal to me. But again, the ego side of it is you got to set that aside. Like I'm so busy. Well, yeah, but you're not. Like you do have time. Like think of all the time you do. Like think about now I don't watch hardly any TV. Whitney and I don't. Whitney and I have been wanting to watch Yellowstone. We've been wanting to watch all these shows that we just never have time to sit down and watch. So we really don't. But if we took, or if you take the time that you just sit and watch TV, how much time could that be reading, doing a workout, bettering yourself in some way? We have time. But going back to the goal piece of it, writing these goals down, it really does make it to where it's real. And you can check in with yourself and you can see, okay, where am I at? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? Measure it and go achieve it. Stop with the New Year's resolution crap. It doesn't work. Go set out some goals and go be a better you in 2023.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to DUK, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.